Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be asking a question that I've been wanting an answer to for a long time from Miraculous, and that is, why is Kagami better than Adrien at fencing? Now, what exactly do I mean by this? So, the first thing to note is that in Kagami's first introduction, she and Adrien go toe to toe, landing extremely close hits, nearly getting each other multiple times. And when they actually do eventually when they hit each other in the normal battles, in their battles with the machine, they're constantly hitting each other at the exact same time, proving to everyone that they are on equal grounds. On top of that, then, Adrien is when they finally do the final bout to actually decide whether or not she will go in, and it's Marinette who has to decide. Again, it is so close. You can't even tell that it's actual who wins. It is so close. And if you look, even if you watch it, it's basically a single frame that would actually be able to prove who actually won. And I have not actually watched it frame by frame to actually see who wins there, because it is extremely close. But then, moving forward in the series, over and over again, we see Kagami and Adrien fight against each other multiple times. But every single time after that first moment, every single time, Kagami wins. And I'm not saying that lightly. No, every single time that they go to fight each other in the battles, it is always Kagami who comes out victorious. It's never Adrien. And we know this because of the fact that in their bout, when Adrien is struggling with the whole ladybug issue and Kagami tells him to change targets, in that episode, well, she specifically says, "I enjoy whooping your butt as much as usual, but something seems wrong." That's basically telling you that since that actual episode, Adrien has been losing every time. And that's something that I think needs to be addressed. I think that Kagami is actually is not even on equal footing with Adrien anymore. I mean, honestly, think about that. Kagami and Adrien are kind of in the same boat, but to a slightly different degree. Both of them, while obviously being master fencers because of the fact that they've been trained for many years on fencing, they each also practice outside of class constantly. And when I say constantly, I mean constantly. With Kagami, it's a bit of a different situation because, obviously, she is being told by her mother multiple times to practice using a kendo sword, which is very similar to how you'll often see people using katanas in most anime. Obviously, there is some difference, but kendo is a very different fighting style to fencing. But that's what she practices almost constantly. Seeing multiple times throughout almost every episode that she's in, we get to see her practicing with her kendo sword to actually get better. And it's actually really cool to see how much she trains. But at the same time, kendo is, like I said, very different sport from fencing. And more than likely, she is actually practicing fencing outside of class. Basically, when she's done with her kendo practice, she goes back to her house and has a tutor who is tutoring her on how to be a better fencer, which that doesn't surprise me. But then there's Adrien. Again, I say this with the fact that he does train basically every single day. And it's not just in his lessons. He is training in a new and different thing that is, again, very different. But we can see a lot of times that he is using that practice that he's learned from fencing in his everyday life because of the fact that he's Cat Noir. He is constantly using his staff, which, yes, obviously using a staff is even more of a difference between fencing and the staff than kendo and fencing. Oh my. But the fact is that the two of them are training constantly. And it's no small feat that they are... it's no small amount how much the two of them are actually training. And when Kagami actually becomes Lady Dragon, or not Lady Dragon, Ryukyu, whatever her name is, she is using her fencing style rather than using that of her kendo style. And it's obviously different. It's not exactly fencing style. It's more, it's a bit similar to how just swordsmen, European swordsmen use their swords. It's, yeah. We're not going to get into all of that, but the sword is more standard sword than rapier. And it's still an interesting factor, but like I said, she's only been Ryukyu twice? Where she was actually, yeah, only twice throughout the entire series, which is actually really interesting. Because I'm pretty sure, yeah, Viperian, or, yeah, I believe he's Viperian. Basically, Luca has been Viperian way more than Kagami. Not by much, but still more. Which, needless to say, that's just interesting. And we'll talk about that in a future video probably, but not the point. But, like I said, they're both training constantly. So then the question comes up, why is Adrien losing so drastically? To the point where Kagami is saying, whooping your butt. I think the answer actually lies in the first episode she's introduced. She fears that if she is not the best, then her mother will punish her for it. And that makes me think that the real reason for this, for why he's letting her win, is to make sure that she doesn't lose. If she loses, she may not be able to go back to to fencing school or to fencing classes. She may not get the chance to have fun anymore. Instead, she's going to be forced to return back home and be practicing constantly with her mother, to practice to make sure that she is the best in fencing before she's ever allowed to go up with other people ever again. And I think that Adrien is not actually giving it his all, but instead is pulling his punches each and every time the two of them duel. To make sure that, one, she's not actually upset and doesn't get akumatized again, but two, so that she doesn't get kicked out of the class. It's a bit of a sad factor, but it's true. The fact is that Adrien's not helping. Like I said, he is pulling his punches, and more than likely Kagami is pulling her punches just a tiny bit. Not much. I do think that she is still pulling her punches just a little bit. As we can see, she goes ham when she thinks that Adrien is being an asshole. And basically, when she's upset about the whole situation with lies. And obviously, Adrien is not gonna attack her. He's still gonna go at his normal pace. But because of that factor, he can't. He's also a bit upset because of the fact that he doesn't want to hurt her any more than he already has. But the fact is that the two of them have never really been on the same page. Both of them have never actually gone full, actually trained to, like, have ever gone like their life depended on it. They haven't shown their true skills. And I think that that's an important factor. Kagami needs someone who can actually show her what's going on, to prove to her that she is not the best at anything, and she doesn't have to be. And I think that Adrien really needs to push that bound, and actually show her that he has been holding back, and has been waiting, while he obviously thinks that he shouldn't go ham. If he wanted to, he could absolutely defeat her. He, like I said, has been training constantly. And with the fact that Hawkmoth is getting more rambunctious lately, it means that he's just gonna be ready to fight more and more. So, at any moment, he could just go completely off the rails and beat her. And I think that he needs to show her that he can. For the two of them to actually go to their full limit. To actually see Adrien can beat her. So that she knows that she should not be actually holding back herself, but instead needs to also stand up to her mother. I think that battle is going to be important for Kagami moving forward. Because while Adrien can show her that, he's not the one to show her everything that she needs to see. The fact is that I've been saying this for a while. Kagami and Luca kind of need opposites, and they haven't really been doing that. Instead, they've been dating people that are rather similar to them. Kagami dating a rich boy, aka Adrien, someone who has a very strict rules, very strict schedule. All of that is very similar for both of them. But Luca is different. Luca has free time. He's playing his guitar. He's able to express himself. And that is what Kagami needs right now. She needs to, one, understand that she is not the best, and that's okay. And she also needs to have that strength to say she's not the best, and that's okay to her mother. But on top of that, she needs someone who can actually show her what she's been missing in her life. The fact is that Adrien kind of has that already with Plague. So, with that, I think that it's an important factor that Kagami needs to learn some things from Luca. And we'll just have to wait and see exactly how things handle moving forward. But needless to say, I think that things are going to be a very different situation moving forward, with Kagami and Luca possibly getting together, and then Adrien and Marinette getting together. And we'll talk more about that as things get closer to that situation. But obviously, there's a whole lot left to wait for before we actually get into that whole chaos. Now, real quick, I do also want to mention that later today I'm also going to be having another video. Yes, it's a 2 video day because reasons. And the reason for this is because of the fact that I think that we need another video to talk about what is coming soon with Miraculous. And I'll explain it better in that video, but yeah. Anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. Of course, if you do have any thoughts or theories, please leave them down in the comments below. Of course, if you are going to leave a theory, make sure to say theory review somewhere in a comment. And of course, if you do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias, our other channels, and ways that you can support us financially, including the merch store, the book, and of course, our Patreon, which a big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!